If I had the power, how would I use it? Hey guys, MasakoX here. This thought experiment is something that I pulled out of my head not long ago, before my trip to Sayacon, where I would get to talk about this idea to some of the Dragon Ball YouTuber community that I am friends with. It's a question that I sort of fielded to them during the content creator panel at that convention to sort of gauge a reaction from them and see what they would focus on if they could change one thing about the Dragon Ball franchise and how it's run. My findings were pretty solid and what I expected from the likes of Anime AJ and Totally Not Mark. A lot of changes regarding the manga and the staffing of it. It was pretty curious, but I didn't really get to challenge myself and ask myself properly the question about what I would do. Well, I can now because, I have this channel to discuss the idea with you. So today I posed this question similar to what I posed them. What if we monkeys ran the Dragon Ball Z? The Z here standing for zoo. Let's say we were blessed by the Dragon Room or Shueisha, the current rights holders of the whole Dragon Ball IP, to have total control of the property for about a maximum of 24 hours, a whole day. We would get this whole day to enact decisions that would steer the course of the show in another direction, or the games, or even the manga, and whatever decisions and actions that we had enacted, they would have to be honoured once we had given the keys back to the ones in charge. Why am I spurred to do this? Well, it has to do with some decisions that have been made regarding the future of certain parts of the franchise, which has sort of left me baffled as to why it either has been done or hasn't been done, or not done sooner. Now these don't just cover the fact that Super isn't here yet or hasn't even been talked about. That's a given and too obvious to be the only focus here. There's other things to discuss concerning, the whole widget. Let's get that obvious bit out of the way and tackle the main series. Dragon Ball Super. It is a thing that has reportedly been in pre-production since October 2018, about a good 12 months or so. That much lead-in time and pre-production time is a stark contrast to the much shorter time for Super's initial stint of around 2 months or so. It was so bad that we didn't even have a working logo until about a week after its initial announcement. You knew that signs were pretty bad if there wasn't even a logo to see, but we didn't care at the time. But with hindsight, ooh. Now granted, this October 2018 date may be conjecture or hearsay, but let's go off the assumption that this is correct. If I stepped into the shoes of Dragon Ball and had the power to do something, I would set in place a careful set of promotion. If the series was ready to go live soonish, I would ensure that it would be raring to go in April 2020, around about the time when Gegege no Kitaro is supposedly concluding, which would then free up Dragon Ball Super's original time slot again from 2015 to 2018. I would start to drop hints within magazines about work on a new project which concerns characters and encourage people to speculate about what it might be. Hearsay and gossip without fear of reprisal or derision or being discredited, straight up campaigns against creators like some people we know? That'd be great. I would want to get people talking and being the underlay of hype that it would start to naturally build. Then at Jump Festa, as well as a sort of like Nintendo Direct but with Dragon Ball, being made on the Toei of America Twitter account, a formal announcement about a series would be made in around about mid-December of this year, stating that Dragon Ball Super would be returning with episode 132, or the start of a second chapter of Super to begin in the first weeks of April 2020. Alongside the logo and formal title, yes, we would have a logo, I would provide some key visuals and some basic outlines of the timeline to give creators some food for thought and some points of intrigue to go off on. Give them some clues, not too many though. After that, there will be a couple of new images to promote within the likes of V-Jump and the online social media platforms. Just like a key image here or a background. I would then instigate the release of mini trailers, because 7 Dragon Balls, 7 weeks, to come out once a week that will cover a certain character or certain plot point that would be spoiler free enough to not give too much away, but enough to create curiosity and spread discussion amongst the fandom. Drip feeding the basic premise and what makes this series special, and a step up from the previous one. In terms of production, it seems quite likely that Naohiro Shintani's style from the Broly movie is going to be carried on and emulated for this new series, and I naturally would want to make this happen. Slowly get things built up ready for a grand release in April, and not July, because more people are out on holiday and not watching TV. They'd be more likely to be watching TV or watching the stream versions if this was in April when it's not as hot outside. Okay, that covers the general release. Now in terms of the content itself, I would request that Toriyama and Toyotaro communicated more with each other, as well as the anime stuff. A better cohesion so as to bring the manga and the anime closer to one another, instead of diverging considerably and just feeling like two different things under the same name. It's become so different that it's created bigger divides between the manga fans and the anime fans as to which is the best version. But the anime has definitely become the greater telling of the Tournament of Power arc, that's for sure, as it's become clear that Toyotaro just wanted to rush through it to get to the stuff that he really wanted to do regarding the Moro arc, whom he probably found more interesting. You need cohesion and unity, and plot points which are so entertaining that even the makers would want to read them. That's just going to make them more willing to make something great. So I would put in place clearer guides that the two of them, Toyotaro and Toriyama, would have to follow. Toriyama would provide clearer or more bullet points regarding the story, give more frequent feedback, which Toyotaro would be copied into much sooner, and Toyotaro would be instructed to follow Toriyama's overall narrative beats more. But at the same time, he would be given the freedom to create characters that would assist and be in keeping with the feeling, Toriyama's vision, with the master giving final say about the design, so things still feel more consistent, more authentic. But it then gives the apprentice some sense of innovation. Consistency within the manga and the anime is crucial, as the Super manga has been very defiant in beating its own drum and rubbing up anime fans the wrong way sometimes, and I'm looking at what happened to Krillin here. Speaking of the narrative beats, I would have it so that we would be starting to sow the seeds of the Beerus plot device, that he was the one that destroyed Planet Vegeta and got Frieza to do the groundwork for him. That would change Vegeta's outlook on everything. Frieza was not the mastermind behind that move, but he was just a mook who was doing the deed of the guy he had grown to respect as a new master and had been training with him. This had been kept from him for so long, and this could potentially cause a huge rift that the prince would wish to settle in the finale of the entire series of Super as it is. Super started with Beerus, and therefore it should end with Beerus, albeit a Beerus fighting at 100% of his total power, something that's been tempted to us, something that's been alluded to but we've never seen. I would also have this series being the culmination / return of Goku fighting as well in Mastered Ultra Instinct, having never gotten it back since the Tournament of Power, and Beerus would have the opportunity to test his power, full power, against the most formidable mortal in Universe 7, and he would lose. Beerus would be humbled for the first time in his life, or the tendency of being the God, and he would change considerably in terms of mood. I feel he would become more dutiful and a better God, knowing that he had been bested by a mortal, and that just would not do. And I think this also may herald the withdrawal or lack of interaction between our Dragon team and Beerus and Whis, which would then wrap up neatly into the end of Z events. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked here. Nevertheless, this is what I would insist upon story-wise. Now, next up would be how the games would be handled. In regards to this, things are not too bad. Bandai have gotten Dragon Ball Z Kakarot coming up, which is steadily looking like it's going to be a very compelling game, with lots to do and plenty of lore to decipher, which should keep us YouTubers happy for a good long time. So in one way, the games are doing a pretty bang-up job. Dokkan Battle and Legends seem to be pretty solid, with the latter generating more and more hype, as is the Dragon Ball Super card game, which admittedly I'm still trying to get my head around. I don't know, it's almost as if TCGs are just stuck behind a block in my head, which I just can't seem to shift. I want to learn it, but my brain won't let me, dang it. However, one thing I would seriously look into reviving would be the likes of Dragon Ball Online, an MMO. The Korean-driven game had a lot of help from Toriyama, which lent it some legitimacy in terms of story placement. But it didn't seem to have the budget nor direction going for it to survive into the end of the decade, or to be around now, save for Dragon Ball Online Global a fan project. I would charge the showrunners of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot to start developing an online MMO like Online, using some of its assets using the engine that powered the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game. The mechanics could be similar, and with that look and feel to it, with the creative team behind it, a rebooted Online/Kakarot hybrid could be a very profitable and interesting project to be seen. It would look gorgeous and have all this new lore as well. This could be something that could easily last for a good 5 years, at least well into the 2020s. And finally, we would move to the physical/online video releases. I've already made clear my feelings on the 30th Anniversary Z Collection in this video up here, if you want to get my overall thoughts on the matter. In short though, I feel it's overpriced and could be unbundled to provide choice for the consumer. Not to mention insist that Toei provide the master tapes for Funimation or anyone else to use. Any other distributor getting the best quality possible for this special anniversary? That'd be great. Just so that means fans across the world could get access to the broadcast quality version. We know that this is possible with the movies, as their remasters both on DVD and streaming platforms look gorgeous. If we had that as a warts and all collection akin to the Dragon Box, with the rumoured optical audio and broadcast version audio contributed by fans mixed into the overall audio package, we could have a rather special re-release of Z and the original Dragon Ball series, which would feel like a real team effort amongst Toei, the distributors of Dragon Ball, as well as the fans who had loyally cherished the original broadcast audio and preserved the integrity of the show. It would be a love letter to the fans, and I would also include a message from the team making the release, thanking people for buying it, helping it be realised, as well as simply enjoying it and ensuring that Dragon Ball is preserved long into the future and be further enjoyed by your children and your grandchildren. Something that shows great love and passion for everyone who experiences the franchise. It's good to have the fans on your side as well as accepting their assistance. And oh yes, no removal or plastering over of stuff. We know what you did with Trunks in the movie 11 release. Leave it as intended or else don't call it the original cut. So there we have it. If it were up to me, I would better initiate the hype going into a new series of Super, should it ever be coming, steer the plot towards a resolution regarding Beerus as had been originally intended, get the manga more on side with the show and the main timeline, initiate the work on a Dragon Ball MMO based on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and then begin the production of a definitive Blu-ray release of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, which would be remastered akin to the recent movie cuts, and most importantly, listen to what the fans want in regards to the content. Now, what I've learnt over the years and reading many books on this matter is that companies shouldn't just be focusing on profits to get the word out and generate buzz. They have to most importantly make great products. Be they toys, games, TV shows, hardware, software, content, doesn't matter. The product itself has to be great, and that will in turn keep the consumer inspired, and may even then turn them into a prosumer that will be promoting your content for practically nothing. You don't have to pay them, which then in turn could foster a healthy relationship between the franchise and its community. So what do you guys think? Do you feel that these ideas are workable and are something that you can get behind? What would you do if you were in this situation and you had the keys to the Dragon Ball castle for a day? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going, and I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!